Hey, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're going to take a snapshot of our world on just one single day, August 13th, 2025. We're going to look at 5 major stories from all over the globe to see what they tell us when you put them all together.
It's a pretty fascinating question, isn't it? I mean, if you just freeze time and look at the headlines from one 24-hour period, you can really start to see the complex forces shaping all of our lives, everything from conflict and diplomacy to economics and history. So the idea here is to piece together these events that seem totally separate and see if they reveal a much larger, interconnected picture. All right, let's dive in.
So here's our game plan. We'll start right on the front lines of conflict and at the highest levels of diplomacy. Then we're going to zoom out to see how the echoes of history are being felt right now. After that, we'll pivot to the powerful parallel world of global markets, find a surprising moment of solidarity, and then, finally, we'll tie all these threads together to see what it all really means.
Okay, first up, we're looking at 2 major global hotspots. In both cases, we have this intense, immediate human cost of conflict unfolding right alongside some incredibly high-stakes political maneuvering.
So on this day, the human toll in Gaza is just staggering. In just the last 24 hours, Israeli military bombardment in Gaza City has resulted in 123 deaths. This is happening right ahead of a planned ground incursion, and that number, it represents a massive escalation in the conflict. And the crisis isn't just about the bombardments. I mean, beyond the explosions, there's this other tragic reality unfolding. The total number of deaths from starvation has now hit 235, and look at this, more than 100 of them are children. This points to a deepening humanitarian catastrophe. You know, to describe what's happening, United Nations experts are actually using this incredibly powerful and disturbing term, medicide. It refers to the deliberate destruction of healthcare, the whole system, through both direct attacks and, well, the weaponization of starvation. So the crucial point here is that this isn't just being seen as collateral damage. It's being described as a systematic strategy. Okay, now we're going to pivot hard from that humanitarian crisis to the world of high-stakes diplomacy. Ahead of a huge summit with the Russian president, U.S. President Donald Trump issues this very direct warning. It signals a really tense and, frankly, pivotal moment for the war in Ukraine. And that warning, it's not happening in a vacuum. Before the summit, Ukraine's allies, we're talking the U.S. and European leaders, they all met to get on the same page. And they came to a firm agreement on one core condition. Ukraine has to have a seat at the table. The core idea is nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. So, from present-day conflict, let's turn to the long shadow of the past. It's such a powerful reminder that so many of today's events are deeply, deeply rooted in historical actions and injustices that are only just now being confronted. And wow, on this very same day, we get this huge development on that front. France has officially acknowledged its role in brutally, and I mean brutally, suppressing Cameroon's fight for independence decades ago. This is a massive admission of a really dark chapter in its colonial history. I mean, look at this timeline. It really puts the scale of this story into perspective, doesn't it? The independence movements kick off right after World War II, and that's followed by a quarter-century of violent repression from France. For this official acknowledgement to come only now, in 2025, it just shows you how long this history has been buried. But, and this is a really big but, the devil's in the details, right? While the letter from President Macron admits to violent repression and it's based on a detailed report, critics immediately pointed to what was missing. There was no formal apology, and there was zero mention of financial reparations. So for many, it's a step, for sure, but it is not the final word on accountability.
All right, let's switch gears completely. While diplomats and historians are grappling with conflict and legacy, the financial markets and energy sectors, well, they're moving to a totally different rhythm, driven by forecasts, policies, and actually some surprising acts of cooperation.
And get this, on the exact same day that we're seeing these intense global crises, the financial world is singing a very different tune. Markets are surging. I'm talking the S&P 500 in the US hitting a record high with European indexes right there with them. It's just this powerful wave of pure economic optimism.
So what's driving all this optimism? What's the deal? Well, it really boils down to one simple and powerful expectation, that the U.S. Federal Reserve is about to announce a big cut to its interest rates. Investors are basically betting that cheaper money is on the horizon, and that's a move that almost always sparks major economic activity.
Meanwhile, over in the world of energy, we're seeing a totally different story take shape. The International Energy Agency has just raised its forecast for oil supply, so they're expecting more oil on the market. But at the same time, it has lowered its forecast for oil demand because of sluggish consumption. So you've got this growing gap, more supply, less demand, and that is putting downward pressure on prices. But it's not all big picture economics and conflict. In the middle of all these larger forces, we also see these incredible moments of direct cooperation, people helping people. As Albania is battling some of its worst wildfires in memory, the United Arab Emirates has sent a specialized fighter fighting team, helicopters, and advanced gear to help out. It's just a clear act of solidarity in the face of a shared climate crisis. Okay, so we've looked at conflict, diplomacy, history, economics, even international aid, all happening on the same day. Now for the final, most important step. Let's connect these threads and see what the bigger picture of August 13th, 2025 really looks like. And this is really the whole point, right? When you lay it all out like this, you start to see the connections. Each story is a crucial thread, and together they create this incredibly complex fabric of a single day. You've got urgent humanitarian crises running in parallel with high-stakes diplomacy. You have nations cautiously, very cautiously, reckoning with their colonial past, while global markets are betting aggressively on the future, and you see both shared threats and the potential for us to cooperate. This single day, it really is a crossroads. The outcomes in Gaza, the talks over Ukraine, the reckoning with history, the shifts in our global economy, none of this stuff is going to stay contained to August 13th. These events are all setting the stage for what comes next. And that really leaves us with the big question: how will the stories of today shape all of our tomorrows?